Cryptocurrencies is a form of digital money in which encryption techniques are used to regulate the generation of units as well as verify the transfer of funds, all of which operate independently of a central bank. Cryptocurrencies operating independently from any central bank means it is not considered legal tender. Cryptocurrencies do not have intrinsic value. As such, they are not redeemable or backed by any commodity such as gold. The only value created is the one in which individuals are willing to trade real goods and services in exchange of good faith that other trading partners will do the same. All transactions are performed by the users of its system, utilizing a peer-to-peer architecture. Users get to decide for themselves what each unit of cryptocurrency represents, whether it is a portion of a dollar or a kilowatt of electricity. Users also get to decide the cryptocurrency's properties and have the ability to divide it into 100 million units, all of which are independently classified and programmable. When I say cryptocurrencies, most likely you immediately think of Bitcoin. However, there are hundreds of other cryptocurrencies available for trade. The term cryptocurrency is used because the technology is based on a public key cryptography, meaning that the communication and transactions are removed from the view of a trusted third. These third parties are entities that would usually facilitate, regulate, and approve financial transactions such as government, banks, and accountants. So how does trading with a cryptocurrency work? A transaction is a digital declaration by one party of its intent to transfer a coin to another. Trading a cryptocurrency means not trading a single coin, but rather the collective transaction entries of a coin called the ledger. Known as the blockchain, this ledger plays a key role in the integrity and security of a transaction. Let's look at a high-level example of this process through a Bitcoin transaction. Say we have two parties, Alice and Bob. Alice wishes to send some amount of Bitcoin to Bob. Alice does so by simply broadcasting a message with the accounts and the amounts. Once the message is sent, every node in the Bitcoin ecosystem receives the message and begins to update their copy of the ledger. The authenticity of this transaction is validated by a password, which unlocks the funds to be transacted using what is called a digital signature. Like a real handwritten signature, it proves the authenticity of a message, but it does so through a mathematical algorithm that prevents copying or forgery in the digital realm. This type of signature is required for every transaction. A record of these transactions is created along with informational logs. These logs include date, time, participants, and quantity of every transaction. For Alice to send 5 Bitcoins to Bob, Alice must first reference other transactions where she received 5 or more Bitcoin. These reference transactions are denoted as inputs, which are then verified by other nodes to ensure Alice was in fact the recipient, and the input added up to 5 or more Bitcoins. The resulting output of a transaction is twofold. The first output would be identified as the trade made from one individual to the next. The second output would be the remaining delta of the transactions sent back to oneself. So, in our example, the first output will show that Alice sent her 5 Bitcoins to Bob. The second will show the return of her remaining Bitcoins back to her. In order to permanently record this trade, this transaction and all transactions are ordered in what is called the blockchain. The blockchain is a public ledger or list of all cryptocurrency transactions. These transactions are permanently recorded in the ledger files and are deemed as blocks. It is continuously increasing as completed blocks are added to it with new sets of recordings. This decentralized public ledger keeps a record of all transactions taking place across the peer-to-peer network. Every block in the chain has a reference to its previous block and can span as far back as the very first transaction ever made. In an effort to ensure zero redundancies in every transaction, all cryptocurrency blockchains are maintained by a community of cryptocurrency miners. These miners take on the duty of adding transaction records to the blockchain by solving the complex and specific mathematical equation to create a cryptographic hashtag which generates a new block. Now that we have an understanding of how cryptocurrency trading works, in the next video, let's look at how this cryptocurrency technology is changing the world of finance.